first thing we want to talk about tonight is this, P, the P, personality types. And you might be wondering, there's lots of things in your notes, and you can read all of them. I'm gonna highlight several of them. This is on page 5. So P for personality type, and so just the definition for personality is this: our feelings, how we think, how we take in information, and how we make decisions about the information. And this is very important, I believe, for 2 reasons, and you can fill in the blank if you want to. Number 1 is because you study this so that you can know yourself, so that you can know yourself. Romans 12:3 says this: "For by grace been given, I say to each and every one of you, do not think of yourselves more highly than you ought. Rather, think of yourselves with sober judgment in accordance with the faith that God has distributed to each of you." So if you want to circle something, I would circle the word sober judgment. And so if you're going to study your personality, you're going to study how you're made, how you think, how you feel, how you make decisions. And you want to do that with sober judgment. Now, depending on your personality type, you might think more highly of yourself. You know anybody like that? Where they think of themselves like they can do anything and they're so great. Part of that's personality, and it's saying, hey, think of yourself with sober judgment. Have you ever met anybody that thinks very lowly of themselves? This verse speaks to that too, to say, hey, you need to have confidence in the things you do. Don't just have false humility or not have confidence that you can do the things that God has made you to do. Having said that, as we look at the personality types, there aren't personality types that are better than other ones. That's not what this means. And I think that's equally as important to look at. So it's to know myself, but it's also so I can understand other people. And for some of us, you might say, hey, I know everything about myself. But the question is do you get along with other people? Because it takes teamwork to make the dream work, and God has uniquely gifted people, and we have to get along in order to do that. And so the study of personalities, while it may be just a natural gifting for a person, it is extremely important in how we get along and how we view ourselves. And you could be very miserable trying to do some task or other things that God has designed you. And if you try to do them, I know I've done that in my life where I was in a job where I was like, this doesn't fit me at all. Okay. Philippians 2:3 says this: "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, rather in humility, value others above yourself, not looking to your own interest, but each of you should look to the interest of others," meaning you should understand other people, not just yourself. So this class will help with both of those things. And we're going to look at it from the perspective that the evaluation for personality, we're going to look at through the lens of the DISC personality profile. You may have heard of it. There are several other ones, and I don't mean to make DISC more important than other ones. I just find DISC is easier to understand because it just breaks it out into 4 pieces or 4 different types of personalities. There's Myers-Briggs. You might have taken other things and other assessments. All of them can be good. There's another one with numbers now, 7 different types of personalities. And you can get all those. We're going to do a very simple assessment for DISC. You can get as in-depth as you want. Some of those things cost money, and if you want to do it, you can. I've had to take several of them as a pastor, and when they evaluate you, and so these assessments seem very simple to me. That maybe if you haven't done it in a while, you might be like, man, I can't believe we have to do all this. Okay, so where does DISC come from? So I gave just a fun fact here. Dr. William Moulton Marston of Harvard was the one who came up with it. And this same guy came up with the lie detector test. So he did understand personality, he did understand human behavior very well. And he said this about human behavior. If you look at the little diagram, you'll see this. A person's internal motor or pace works like this. If you had a circle, and at the top of the circle, you had some people were made like this, you would have some are outgoing, and some are reserved. Does that make sense? Some people are extroverts, meaning they get strength from being around other people. And really important that you understand whether that's you or not. Other people get strength from being alone, that they have to be alone in order to do that. Now, the people that are outgoing will go, hey, those people are weird. Why do they have to be by themselves? But they don't. And the good part about that is that typically outgoing people are much more verbal processors. Internal people are much more, they have to think about it. And it takes time for them to make decisions. Not a bad thing, just something that you have to know about people. And he said, hey, that's 2 types, up and down. And then if you look at the other ends of the circle, on the left, you'll have the people that are task-oriented. It means that they want to get the task done, that they focus more on that. It doesn't mean they don't care about people, but they tend to be more driven by doing the task versus building the relationship. Does that make sense? It comes more natural for them to do the task than it does to build a relationship. On the other side, you got people-oriented people. And for them, it comes easier to be in relationship with people than it does to do the task. and you'll understand that when we get into the different types of people. So that's the kind of the four things. You got outgoing and reserved, you got task-oriented and people-oriented, and now we're going to see how that lays out. So if you turn the page, then you can see he's got it divided into four sections. So the outgoing and task-oriented person, that's up at the top, it stands for D, and I'll take those, Marie, if you want. So I know you got some things to do. Sorry. Marie's painting for me, so. Who didn't get one? And I can pass these out here. Did you guys want them, or you do? Okay. And we got pens out there, too, if anybody needs them. Anybody? Would you like one? Yeah. Okay, awesome. Who else is missing one? Anybody? Okay, I'll stick them over here with the food if anybody wants any. Don't get food on them. Okay, so we got them divided up into four sections. So if you look up at the top, you got a D, which is an outgoing person that's task-oriented, okay? And you can imagine the qualities of a person like that, okay? At the bottom, you got I, and that stands for, on the left side, you got D. On the right top side, you got I, which is outgoing and people-oriented, okay? At coming down, you got DI, and then S, which is, this is how it spells disc. The S underneath the I is they're people-oriented, but they're reserved, okay? And then if you look to the bottom left, you got they're reserved, but they're task-oriented. Does that make sense? And we're going to go over each one of these, so I didn't want you to think we weren't, and that's just kind of a brief overview. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. All right, so if you flip the page, now we're going to get into each one of them because I think it's really important that we talk about them. And understanding this is that as you look at the personalities, don't think of them as one is better than the other, okay? Don't try to think through going, hey, man, I need this one because that's the best personality type. There's not. They all have strengths and they all have weaknesses. Having said that, if you find one and you go, don't think through the lens of what I want to be like. Think of what you actually are like, okay? And you'll do much better because sometimes people go, I want to have this one, but they're not. And it makes them miserable, and they're trying to be something that they aren't, okay? The other thing is this. For some people, they really like their personality. And then they're going to say, oh, yeah, these traits are just the way I am. Now, this is not an excuse. What we're going to talk about is not an excuse to say, because I'm made that way, that means I don't have to do any of these other things. It means you don't do them naturally, but it doesn't mean you don't have to do them. And it'll make a lot of sense when we get into what that means, okay? All right, so let's talk through the personalities. D stands for dominance, okay? And there we go. Dominant, okay? I don't think of anybody else that could top this guy on it, but this is at the time when he was doing the apprentice, and he would tell everybody, you're fired. You know what I mean? That's dominant. D, they're down, they get down to it. You know what I mean? They're a driver. Think of D words when you think of a dominant personality type. There's some characteristics of them: directive, decisive, high ego, problem solvers, risk takers, self-starters. Don't really care much about people's opinion, okay? They're gonna push to get it done. They're the drivers in this world. They don't take no nonsense. Oftentimes they can come across a little bit mean, I guess. There's some motivations for this person. They're motivated by challenge. They're motivated by power and authority. They want to be in charge. If you've met one of these, they are going to be in charge, whether you like it or not. When they come in the room, they will be in charge by the end of it, okay? Or there's going to be a fight to be had for it. And they don't mind fighting. They don't mind people feeling funny about fighting for it, okay? They don't care about your feelings as much as they care about getting things done. They like changing environments in which the work play. Here's some possible weaknesses for that kind of person, okay? They overstep their authority oftentimes, okay? They're argumentative, they dislike routine, and they attempt to do everything all at one time. And that has a lot to do with being outgoing and task-oriented, okay? The greatest fear, this is kind of important for that kind of person, being taken advantage of. And that might sound strange, but a dominant person, they will fight you to the death if they think, they will go to the extreme rather than being taken advantage of. All right. How to deal with a dominant personality type. Okay. This is really important for if you're going to have these kind of people in your life, then you might want to take a look. Be brief and direct and get to the point. They're not good with a lot of details because they're already moving ahead and they're thinking of things big picture. Now that's a pretty big important piece to understand, because what I find is that there's a lot of people that think, there's some people that think strategic and there's other people that think tactical. You understand the difference? One person is planning the battle and they're looking way out to where you're supposed to be going. And they're looking at the flagpole going, we got to get there. The other people are trying to figure out how to get there. Now, you're going to need both of them, okay? But it's real important to understand these people, they don't want all your steps. They're saying, that's where we're going. And don't try to change my direction or I'll kill you. You know what I mean? That's the kind of way that they do. I mean, that's how they feel about it. You know, and then they go, oh, no, I didn't really mean I'd kill you, but, you know. But I would. Okay. Okay, so how do you do it? You focus on business. Remember, they desire results. Suggest, here's another one. Suggest ways for him or her to achieve results, be in charge, and solve problems. Understand their ego. If you got a dominant child, you better find ways for it to be their idea. Get it? Or else you're going to fight them, and you're going to go, you're bad, you're terrible. But no, that's how they're made, okay? Highlight logical benefits and features and ideas and approach. Here's some things not to do. Don't ramble, okay? Don't repeat yourself. Don't focus on problems. Don't be too sociable, okay? And you can understand how this could be a challenge for some people. Don't make generalizations. Don't make statements without support. Now, let me tell you why I'm telling you all this. Because these people are critical to getting things done. These people make the world go round. But if you're made, here's how the interactions happen, okay? If they are task-oriented, that's what they care about getting done. So if you're trying to be social with them, they're going, wait a minute. You're not hearing me. I need to know what the actual things are. And people can get very offended very easily when you get somebody that's dominant and they're going, I need to know what the bottom line is. And they're telling them all about how good it is and how people feel. And they're going, I could care less about any of that. Get to the point. And God made them that way. Now, some people would go, no, you know what? That's just a mean person. We don't need people like that. Yeah, you do. Because without these kind of guys, nothing gets done. Everybody would stay home and not do anything, okay? So they have a huge benefit. If you want a biblical example, the Apostle Paul was made that way. He really was. So it doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean it's an excuse to be mean. Doesn't mean it's an excuse not to be personable or care about people. What it means is recognize that as your personality type, okay? Areas for personal growth for a person that's dominant. If this is you, or you find that you have this quality, then here's one that you got to think about. Strive to be an active listener, okay? You're going to think you have all the answers. It's going to be very hard to listen. Plus, you're outgoing, so you're naturally talking. Get it? These people talk. Be less controlling and domineering. Develop a greater appreciation and opinion, feelings, and desires for others. Put more energy into personal relationships. Now, to a person that's outgoing, the person that's on the other side that's people-oriented, you're kind of like, why would that have to be a goal? Because these people don't think about it naturally. Get it? So if this is you, if you're going, oh, I naturally think about how people feel, then you're not this, okay? You could be this. This could be another feature to your quality, but the high end of this personality type doesn't lend to caring about people, okay? And so you have to actually make it a goal. Does that make sense? Okay. Be friendly and more approachable. So that's D, dominant, okay? All right, next kind. Okay, and this is, okay, I got cars for these people too, sorry. That's the kind of car they drive. Does that make sense? You can tell a lot about a person. You might not know that, but ask them what kind of car they would drive. You know what kind of car this person would drive? You know what kind of house they're going to have? They're going to have something that expresses how dominant they are. They're alpha. You know what I mean? They want the thing that when they drive up, everybody knows this is me, okay? And the reason they want it, and this is really important, it's not for fun, it's to express my dominance. That's what this is all about. And this is not a man or woman trait. This can be either or. So the other thing about this is I know a lot of people look at roles and things in the Bible about how men or women are made. Don't think through that lens, okay? Women can be just like this as well. And they have to think through it to go, hey, how do I help give my husband spiritual authority, especially if he has one of these other personality types? Don't think that it means that you have to give up your personality to do so, though, okay? Really important. Huge importance. Because there's so many women that squash their God-given personality that God has given them. Don't do that, okay? But you do have to watch it. Okay, just like anything, it's got strengths and weaknesses. Okay, I is the influencer. Does everybody recognize that guy? He fits it to a bill. That's Jimmy Buffett, if you didn't know who it is. If there's ever anybody that's got I, which is outgoing and people-oriented, it's Jimmy Buffett, right? He walks in, everybody knows, well, most people know him, and so what does he do? I mean, he parties, he's got all the parrot heads, and he don't care how he looks, I mean, he really doesn't care how he looks, but he does care about having fun. And if you're around Jimmy Buffett, you're going to have fun, right? I mean, that's just who he is. And he is just so personable and out there and fun. Here's what the I personality type will drive. It's not practical, right? It's just fun, right? I mean, it's just fun, right? I mean, it's convertible. Why would you drive a convertible? There's nothing practical about a convertible. It's not about practical. It's about fun, okay? And that's the kind of thing. So what kind of characteristics do they have? Party, okay? Think about that. They're the life of the party. When they walk in, the party starts, okay? They're enthusiastic, they're trusting, they're optimistic, they're persuasive, they're talkative, they're impulsive, they're emotional, they have a great sense of humor. They're motivated. Here's a couple things they're motivated by, okay? This is important to know. They're motivated by approval. This is really important because you could really mess up with a person like this. They're motivated by flattery, praise, popularity, or acceptance by others. They're motivated by freedom from too many rules. They don't like rules, okay? They don't like things bogging it down. They like to have a good time, and if it gets in the way of it, they're out of there, okay? They gravitate towards friendly and fun environments. And if you're not going to be friendly and fun, they're going to be out of there, okay? Don't think of them as the next type. We're going to talk about S in a minute. So they're not necessarily just nice people, okay? They're people that want to have fun. And if eventually you start taking the fun away, they're going to go, I need to be away from you. Okay. So they excel most when they can be the talker. I can relate to this personality, really. You know what I mean? They want to do the talking. They have to express themselves verbally. Very important to the equation. Need another person to handle the details. I definitely understand this personality, okay? They like to have fun. They like to do things, but they will miss steps. They don't think of things in steps. They think of things in one step. We're going to do this, and it's going to be great. Well, how are we going to do it? Well, it's just going to come together, and it doesn't. Okay, possible weaknesses. More concerned about popularity than tangible results. That's a fact. Sometimes they struggle getting things done. They're inattentive to details. That can be deadly for them. They're overusers of gestures and facial expressions. I don't know anything about that one. Okay, they tend to listen only when it's convenient, or when they don't have anything else to say, and then it's like, oh, somebody else wants to talk. A biblical example of it is Peter. Greatest fear for this kind of person. This is important to understand, because if you're thinking if you're looking at one personality type and you're thinking of that fear for them, it's real important to understand what they fear. They fear rejection. So if you want to handle an I personality, if you got to work with them, here's what you got to do. You got to be friendly. You got to give them an opportunity to verbalize their ideas. If you're married to one, dominant or influencer, they're outgoing, understand they're probably going to have to verbally, especially I's, have to get it off of them. So don't do a lot of stuff where you're going to be doing this, hey, you got to think about that for a while. And they're going, I've got to get this off of me or I'm going to go crazy. And the other person's going, well, I just need time. I need days to think about it. Don't try to be recruiting personality types, okay? All right, write details down for them. That would be helpful, okay? So if you got one of these, let them go. Don't try to make them into you. Write it down for them. It's much easier if you do that, okay? Hand them the details. Allow time for sociable activities at work. So if you work with one of these guys, here's my recommendation to you. Let them do what they do best, okay? If you got kids that are like this, let them do what they do best. Now, you're going to have to, I understand, you're going to have to get them to do what's right. Let me tell you something. These people have a lot of influence. That's why they call them influencers. They can build a lot of relationships, and their greatest strength is the network of people that they bring with them. And that's done through social environments, because that's what they're best at. So don't try to take them and make them, a detailed, person in a warehouse sitting in the back tracking all the beans. That ain't going to work, okay? But if you get them in the right environment, they can be huge. They can be huge, especially in sales and things like that for companies. Okay. Don't do this. Don't eliminate their social time. If you do, they probably won't be there, okay? They're going to do it anyway. Don't do all the talking. Make sure you get some time to talk to them. Okay, don't react to them in a way that makes them feel rejected. That's so important. That's so important to this process. Hey, how you doing? Were you coming to take the class, or you? Yeah, go ahead. No, please. By all means, no problem. Okay, so areas of personal growth. There's many of them. Probably the biggest one is make sure you're listening, if that's your personality. The other one would be keep a list. What I found to help me, because this is one that is kind of a more dominant personality for me, is that even though it's not natural, I keep a list on everything. That definitely doesn't come natural. But if you want to get things done, if you want to make sure you write it down, because you'll never remember it, and concentrate more on listening. Okay, so that's the influencer. Now we're going to move down to the person that is reserved but people-oriented, okay? The steady, all right? And the words that would describe the steady, okay, would be this. I mean, this lady is a prime example of Mother Teresa. She's steady. She's helpful, okay? These are the greatest helpers in the world, okay? Here's the kind of thing that a steady person would drive, okay? They're practical. But not only are they practical, but they don't have their own identity oftentimes. They want to be identified as the soccer mom, because I love my kids. That's exactly how they are too, okay? But don't make fun of that. Please don't make fun of it to their face, okay? So if that's you, I'm not making fun of you. I'm just telling you that's how it is, okay? So they care more than anyone else in the world, okay? They love people. They want to help people. They're the biggest helpers on the planet, okay? They also have some things, they're good listeners, they're understanding. The other S word that does for them, though, is, and this is really important, because if you're not careful, you'll get frustrated at them on this one. They're status quo. Because they're so helpful, oftentimes they're not overachievers, okay? But they're very helpful people. That's just how it works with them. They're motivated by, here's what motivates them: safety and security. They want to be safe and secure, but they want other people to be safe and secure. If you don't know that, you can really mess with somebody. If you don't understand, if you're dominant and you're going, hey, I'm ready to risk everything and go after it, and you got somebody like this, you could devastate them if you don't pay attention that they need this. They're motivated by avoiding conflict at all costs. They do not like conflict. They do not like people fighting. They do not like people getting angry. The dominant personality type, they're right there. They're ready to light the flame and throw the gasoline on it and have this burn it to the ground, okay? The I personality type will do it for a while, and they'll be irritated, and they can't believe you said that about them. So now they're ready to get mad at you because of what you said about them, and they're just going to get away from you, okay? The S personality, it's going to devastate them. They're going to have an ulcer about the thing, you know what I mean? Because they just love people. You get the idea? I'm just pointing out the differences just so you know. And you might think of this for yourself. They're motivated by being in groups and in harmony. They want everybody to get together. Now, understand that this does not mean that just because you have this type of personality doesn't mean you can't be a leader. That doesn't mean that. There's some great leaders in the world that were this personality type. I'll give you an example. Eisenhower was this kind of leader. Eisenhower had the task of bringing together during World War II all these generals that couldn't get along. Can I tell you something? You they had lots of D's all around him, okay? And it took an S to pull them in and calm them down. That's what it took. So it doesn't mean that they can't have leadership ability. It just means that they like harmony. That's what they live for. And they're motivated by appreciation and recognition for their loyalty. They're very loyal people, okay? Some weaknesses for them. They resist change, okay? They take a long time to adjust to change. The other weakness, and this is one that you have to know, especially if you're at the top of this pendulum, okay? I've had to learn this the hard way. They hold a grudge, okay? Where the top people don't, you want to know why? You know why the outgoing people don't? Because they're going to blow up right now and get it over with. They're just going, poof, you know what I mean? These people are sitting there and go, you remember that thing you said to me 10 years ago? Yeah, I'm still mad about it. I bet you didn't even know that hurt me. You know, you wouldn't know that hurt them because they take so long getting it out, okay? They have difficulty establishing priorities. Okay, this is very important. You know why they have difficulty establishing priorities? Because they're thinking about everybody else. It really is true. And they're thinking about how can we avoid this thing becoming a catastrophe? Oh, we might set them off. Oh, we might, that's why they're worried. A biblical example of it, just so you know, I mean, a great man, but he had that personality. He's John. And so it's one of the most loving people. They're the most loved people. In fact, John was called the beloved of Christ because he was so loving. They're some of the most loving people you'll ever know. The greatest fear for this person is the fear of loss of security. Here's the things you can do for an S if you have to deal with an S, is do make them feel comfortable. Do be kind and patient with them. That's really important to them. Slow things down a little bit. Take genuine interest in them. This is not your natural personality, and you're like, I just get things done, and I didn't even notice them. I got to tell you, this is the one, if you want to know, you got to be really careful here, because I'm usually around a lot of people that are either D's or I's, or both. I've got both, and most of the people I'm around do, okay? And driving entrepreneurial people will push and bolster right over top of them. I can tell you, we had a class, it was a leadership training class at Western Branch Community Church, and I had some people in the class, and all of them were sort of like me. Pastor Jim Wall from Western Branch and his wife was in, not Pastor Jim, but Pastor Jim's wife, Kim, was in there. And Kim is dominant with a capital D, okay? And we're all big talkers, and several others, if you remember David Hall that used to be here, he was in my group, and several other people were in there, Barbara Peak, and we were all big talkers. And we had one guy that had this, okay? And it takes him 10 minutes to get out something. He's like, hey, I want to ask something. He would actually raise his hand, you know what I mean? And then we would just all talk over him, okay? And Marie finally came to me and said, John, I noticed something. See, now this is what a reserved person can do, because that's what my wife can do. And she looked at me and she said, you didn't, and I said, I didn't even know he tried to say anything, you know? He's going to have to jump in there. And she's like, no, John, you really need to make a point to listen. And what the guy had to say was very profound. Oftentimes it is. So don't belittle it. Take the time. Be patient with them. Provide specific or tasks. Explain and give them time to adjust to change. Don't be confrontational with them, okay? Confrontation is going to shut them down. So if you're made where you go, hey, you know what I need direct feedback, and you can just tell me like it is, do not do that with them. It does not convey the same message, and that's what I'm telling you. You got to look at the personality type and gear what you say towards them, not how you're made. This is really important. This is why it's worth studying. You're not gearing what you say how you're made. You're gearing it to how they are. This is why this is an important study, okay? Now, if you are one of them, don't use that as an excuse. Oh, well, they hurt my feelings. Well, get over it. Build a bridge, okay? You're all right. You'll be okay, okay? That's growth, okay? Eisenhower did, okay? He understood. He was a tough guy, okay? Provide specifics for tasks and explain how. I can't tell you the amount of people I've watched get frustrated and go, you just need to figure that out, especially ones that we're going to talk about next, the C personality types, because they think task-oriented, and they're so frustrated with these people that are so helpful, and these people would do anything for you. But oftentimes, they need specific instruction, and be patient with them, okay? Don't use strong tones or body language. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but posturing can be huge. Dominant people understand, because you got it down pat. You're going to posture. You know what I'm saying? You're going to take the power stance every time. You're going to do, and influencers do the same thing. Lots of gestures. You know what I mean? Got to gesture it, hit the table, punch the podium. You're going to shut them down. They're not even hearing what you're saying. You're scaring them to death. Don't do that. It doesn't convey what you think it does, okay? Really doesn't. Don't be overly aggressive, pushy, or demanding of them. Let me tell you something for S personality types. They are the most loyal people on the planet. If you love them and you give them and you help them, and I'm not talking about manipulation, But if you show appreciation for what they do, that they care about people, not that they got the job right, okay? That's not their big thing. You know what it is? That you have acknowledged that they're loyal to you. They will do anything for you. Anything, okay? That's them. All right. C, the conscientious. Does everybody know who this is? Hopefully. That's Bill Gates, the richest man in the entire world. He's conscientious. He may not be the richest man anymore, but he was. Now he's given away half his money. But Bill Gates is the person that I would think of when it comes to this. The C personality type is reserved and task-oriented, which makes them weird. No, I'm just playing. Now, let me tell you why it makes them weird. They have fallen off the fashion train, right? I mean, when you look at Bill Gates, you're like, why do you dress that way? Why do you fly that way? You know, he's got $100 billion of net worth, and he flies coach. That's Bill Gates. That's a cognitive person. Why? Because it just makes sense, right? It makes good business sense. It's efficient. They're efficient people. They are perfectionists, okay? They're accurate, analytical, conscientious, careful, fact finders, precise, bean counters, okay? High standards, systematic, perfectionist. And that's what drives them. And these are the ones that you can probably misunderstand the most. And you can hurt them in ways, because I have, because I didn't understand them, because I'm not made like them. But they are extremely important to everything. Here's the kind of car they would drive. And proud of it. They would have put Geek Squad on the side of it and drive this piece of junk around and be proud of it, okay? They got pocket protectors. Okay, all right. I can go further. Not all of them, all right? They're motivated by what? Information and logic. Okay? They're logical people. They're smart people. Being well informed is the most important thing in the world to them. Okay? It is. And they want to know everything, and they want to research it. They're researchers by nature. They have a clear having clear parameters and instruction motivates them. Doing work accurately and correctly. Seeing a project through to the end. Okay? That's them. And you know how much time they need? Just a little bit more, okay, to make it a little bit better. They don't need a little bit more time because they haven't been working. They're workers, okay? But they need a little bit more time, and they'll never finish. You know why they don't finish? Because they want to make it just a little bit better. They're inventors. You know what I mean? They're the guys that sit in the back rooms, and they analyze, and they analyze, and they reanalyze. And they'd like to get more data. And before we make a decision, you know what we got to do? We got to get some more data. That's them. You know what I mean? It's like you'll never get anything done with them because they got to, okay, you get the idea. You can see I'm not that one. I'm the least, of all the ones, I'm the least this one, okay? All right, but I appreciate this personality the most, believe me. And I try to get as many of these guys around me as I can. All right, possible weaknesses. They get bogged down with details. Now, it seems like it's good because you go, they want it perfect. Yeah, they do. But, you know, the reason why they need a dominant person coming behind them saying, all right, look, I know this is what you're saying. I know you're engineers. Engineers fit this, okay? Oh, my goodness. You know, we're gonna engineer, and we're going to talk about it, and finally you got to get somebody in there that goes, guys, I don't care. Here's the deadline. Get it done now, okay? That's what has to happen to these guys. They need clear-cut boundaries for action in relationships. They're bound by procedure and methods, okay? This is the difference. The dominant person can look at, and they're looking at the big picture, okay? And they're looking at the whole strategic plan. The cognitive person, okay, or the conscientious person can get bogged down, and here's how they get bogged down. They get bogged down with the tactical. And so all of a sudden, they forgot where you're going, and they're getting very good at doing something that doesn't get you there. That's the danger for a tactical person, okay? That's why I say you need both. If you don't have somebody leading the way and saying, here's where we're going, no problem. If you don't have somebody break it down in steps, you'll never get there. Does that make sense? Now, oftentimes we applaud the person that's breaking it down in details because you're going, well, they're doing the real work. Yeah, but if nobody's saying where we're going, guess what? It really don't matter much how you get there if you don't know where you're going. Even the chat shower cat knew that one. Okay, so they're poor communicators. And I've seen this a lot. Do not give them a microphone. They're poor communicators, typically, because nobody understands them. You know why? because they're interested in giving all the details. Hey, guys, today I'd like to tell you all the statistical analysis. You know, you're like, what? No one wants to hear your statistics? Shut up. You know what I mean? But that's them. That's why they're poor communicators. And they'll give in rather than argue, okay? That's oftentimes. They're not argumentative. They really aren't as much as people take it that way, but that's not who they are, okay? Luke in the Bible was the greatest example of it. You can read about Luke. The greatest fear for a conscientious person, you may not realize this, is criticism, but not in the way you would think, okay? Now, they take criticism well when it comes to, well, you're like that, you do this. We're not talking about criticism like you're ugly. They could care less, okay? You look like a geek. Okay, great. We'll put it on our car. No problem. Let me tell you where you can hurt them. And if you're a different personality, you'll hurt them and don't even realize it. I've done it 1,000 times. Here's how you hurt them. Criticize their work. Question their loyalty to the job, and you will devastate them. Because they're going, I have put in everything I've got to accomplish this. For the I personality, you're going, why would anybody want to work like that? I think it's a joke. Of course, we're all in it. Who cares? We would make fun of our work. You know what I mean? Who cares? I don't even want to do the work. You think I was bad? Great. I did it bad, so you just do it. You know what I mean? The conscientious person, you destroy them because that's what they live for, okay? Be careful with them. Here's some things to do for them. If you're going to deal with those, do your research and be prepared. Let me tell you what you don't do. You don't go in there unprepared and try to do a bunch of hand waves. You want to know why? Because they'll pull out the book and say, you know what, you said that, but it says right here that you didn't. They're the ones that say, you know what, Sunday's message was great, but you missed one of those references. You didn't put the right verse and thing in. Get it? Because they're accurate. I'm sorry, not you. Not you, Colleen. I'm just playing. But it's important. That's what I'm saying. The details are important, and they understand that. Okay? They'll do other things too, though. I mean, they'll say the same things for whatever because they're trying to get it right. So don't try to overwhelm them. Don't try to bamboozle them with a bunch of hand gestures or because you think they're going to like your personality. They're not looking at your personality. They don't care about your personality. Support ideas with accurate data. Submit a job description for the project. Be very specific because they're going to hold you to it. Okay? They're not going to think outside the box. They're going to think that the box you gave them, that's what they're doing. And then they're going to be really irritated when they go, well, that's what you told me you wanted you to do. And then you're going to go, well, that's not what I meant. Well, you better be specific with me because I don't get your understand, they're not getting your people gestures. Well, everybody knows that you're supposed to do that. Well, not them. Okay. Be specific when agreeing or disagreeing. Okay? What do I mean? I don't like this. Why? Okay? Well, you should just know. No, they don't. They don't pick up on that. They don't know what you're talking about. You got to be specific. They would rather you send it in writing to them. Okay? These are the people that think. Understand, they're going to process. They're process people. They don't want to talk. Now, for verbal communicators, it's going to kill you because you're going, I want to talk. I want to tell you how I feel. Okay? They don't care. When disagreeing with work, with facts instead of with people examples. Okay? Well, we don't like it because everybody was upset by it. Don't come at them with that. Come at them with data. Okay? That's what they need to hear. Don't speak in broad generalities. Okay? They don't do well with that. They do well. It's very specific. Don't answer questions too vaguely. Okay? Do not criticize the work they've already done. They won't do more for you, by the way. They'll shut down because they'll be like, I can't believe this. What is going on? And don't be confrontational. It sounds funny to say that. They don't do as well with that. Okay? Because here's why it's so easy to criticize them. You want to know why? Because they come across as being hypercritical people. And they actually think it's, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. They actually think it's helpful. Okay? So they'll come at you and they'll tell you, I noticed 50 things that were wrong today. And they think that you appreciate that. Okay? Because they would. And then you get mad at them like, How could you say that about me? You get the idea? This is how the personalities have conflict, okay? So if you want to understand them, they're not meaning that as a criticism. They're meaning, oh, I thought you'd want to be better. You go, I don't have any desire to be better, okay? But they do, okay? And if that's you, I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying, just think through that lens. So when you're talking to them, understand they're trying to get it right. Now, can you understand why they would be helpful? If somebody's doing your taxes, you wouldn't want an I person doing your taxes? I'm not worried with the details. Oh, I forgot to check that box. Ooh, that's going to be bad for you, right? You understand how this plays into God's natural gifting for you, and how that we all need to get along, and how we need each one of these kinds of people? That if you're looking for a dominant person to be merciful, and they're going, I didn't even see him. I did what? I offended you? Don't care. You know what I mean? So you want those people in the positions that are right for them. And you want the steady people in it, but you can understand how a steady person that's taking all polls and going, well, I don't want to offend anybody. Is everybody happy with what we're doing? No? Well, I guess we better just sit here until everybody's happy. No. You know, it ain't going to work, right? So you get the idea. We need them all, okay? Now, understand this. Nobody has all these you're a blend, all right? Most people are. Now, most people are going to say, no, I have all of them. No, you don't. There is probably 1% of the population that have all of them. If you take this test that we're about to give you and you have all the personality types, you're lying, okay? Just so you know. You wanted something and you don't like the weaknesses, and you're not being honest with it, okay? There's only one person that had a great balance, the true balance of all personalities. You know who it is? Jesus Christ himself. And he demonstrated it, that he had every one of these and would use them perfectly. No one else does. Okay? That's why we have the body of Christ now, because we need each other. That's how God made us. And there's nothing wrong with what you are. So take a look at page 11. And what we're going to do page 11 is blended personality types. And when we take the test, you can take a look at those, and it kind of tells you what you are. Now, the test we're going to take isn't probably as accurate as some because it's short, okay? The other ones, you can get very detailed. So if you go online and you look up DISC personality profile, there's some free ones online. You can just take them and click them and take them, and they get a little bit more accurate as you go. There's some you can pay for. There's some you can pay thousands of dollars for. I don't know if you're that into figuring it out. But there are. And they'll assess you, and you'll go through 10,000 questions, and by the end of it, they'll tell you exactly what you are, okay? I don't know if it's that important. But I do think it's important to look at. And, really what we want to look at is not that do I have this trait or that trait, and don't get hung up on that. What I want you to look at is where do I naturally drift to? Which one of these countries, think of them as countries, which one do I naturally drift to? And do yourself one favor. Don't try to recruit any of them to come over to your country. Now, nobody else will. There's only one personality type that is trying to be converted, okay? And they're constantly trying to get people to say, you need to be part of our country. You know who that is? They're trying to get the S. And the S will make you think that they will because they feel so bad. They're listening to you. Oh, yeah, I could do that. And everybody's trying to talk them into being like them. Don't do that. They are who they are, and God made them the way they are, okay? So God made you the way you are. Do yourself a favor. Don't make excuses for why you can't do things, okay? So you're a detailed person, and you don't care about people, but you care about tasks. That doesn't mean you can't care about people. You need to. But you just have to be more intentional about it. Just because you're dominant doesn't mean that you can't care about the people that are introverted, okay? Or if you're an influencer, doesn't mean you can't care about the details. You get the idea. So here's what I want to do. Before we go any further, we're going to take this test, but what I want to ask you is this. Does anybody have any questions at this point? I'm really sorry to have lectured so long and not giving you a chance, but you understand it now because you understand my personality. So I'm just doing what I'm made to do. What is that? Am I the dominant one? Both. I'm an ID, so it's a blend. But yeah, pretty important to know. So and sometimes your personality changes as you go as well. So anybody else? Well, as a church planner, you got to be dominant to a certain extent. Some people will tell you I have some dominant traits, but not all the time. Okay, so if you think of any questions, write them down in the margin. I can answer them for you. What I'd like you to do is take maybe about, we'll give you about 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll take a little bit of break after that. Or you can take a break while you're doing it or whatever. But on page 12, I'd like you to fill that out. And